Hey there, everybody, and welcome to episode 22 of Kingdom Culture, where we talk about real life struggles, the pursuit of God in our process, overcoming our past, and becoming the sons and daughters God created us to be. I am your host, Kara. I would love if we could reverse this episode and last week's episode. And I say that because I feel like this one really kind of should come first, but the lesson came after. So I want to share with you a little bit about what's been going on with me. And I think that many of you guys out there will probably, I don't know, maybe feel something similar. Maybe you're experiencing something that's kind of like what I'm experiencing. I believe that God is really leading his kids into a season of just change and transformation and just newness. And all of that is going to bring, growth and, recognizing what things in us need to change in order to be what we are made to be, to walk in the purpose that we were created for, to understand our identity truly in who God says that we are. So, this episode is really going to be touching on a key point of just how important it is to show up. Now, again, this goes back to regular everyday life experiences. And so, I've talked about this so many times, and the last several months has been just a part of my own personal fitness journey, coming off of a bulk and into a cut. And I've explained to you guys multiple times how this has been kind of a struggle. It's been a lot of transformation for myself, not only mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, but there's also a lot of transition happening in my personal life. Leaving my full-time job at a well-paying position at a design firm here in Colorado Springs to do something completely different. And also to do design still, but as a different way on my own again, as well as a few other endeavors that I had promised that I will release information on soon, and that is coming. So stay tuned for that. I just don't want to let the cat out of the bag too soon because things are not quite developed all the way to be able to really present anything truly to you. However, things are in the works and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things that are changing and happening and being shaped and molded and everything else behind the scenes. So with all that, I think that a lesson that I'm learning is just the value of showing up. So I had a conversation with my coach this week because I have just been really struggling. I understand now what was happening because fleshing out just the topic of what was going on with him, it really helped me to understand myself better. That's kind of like a lot what therapy is, right? Like, you go talk to a therapist and they ask questions, but you sort of help yourself figure it out just by talking things through. So that's kind of what happened with him. And I came to realize that the old self is just really vying for a spot in my new life. And it's coming up in ways that I just didn't expect. And it's really, I don't know, showing itself in ways I don't really appreciate. And so it's just been a battle. It's been a battle of my mind. It's been a battle of my intentions. It's been a battle of my physical, just abilities, productivity, everything. I mean, it's just been a really big struggle. And I understand now what I was doing and why it's ultimately sabotage in a way because, I was given a plan. It was laid out really clearly. And because I feel like the process has been going on a long time now because it's like 17 weeks long, 18 weeks long right now. And at some point earlier in March, I kind of decided that I wasn't really happy with the progress. And I decided somewhere in my own mind that it should look different. It should be different. The outcome should be different. My experience should be different than it is currently. So I went off course. I went rogue. And I went back to exploring type of eating that I did several years ago, back in, I think, 2017 or 18. That didn't work for me then, but I figured I would give it a shot this time after, a lot more research and a lot more just, reading up on things and listening to different people and doctors and all this kind of stuff talk about certain methods and approaches to, just eating styles and everything else. And so I ventured off on my own and really caused myself some delay now. I tried to eat differently than what was prescribed, and it ultimately set me back. And when I talked to my coach, I was just like, you know what? I think that it's an issue with trust somewhere. It's like the ground rules are laid out so clearly. And all I have to do is just do what I'm told to do. I have to eat this much, and I have to go to the gym this many times and do these exercises in this order this many times, and I get to pick where I am with my weight. And yet I failed to just do what I was supposed to do. I decided at some point that prescribed method that obviously I sought out and I pursued because I believed in it, and I really, believed that it would be the ticket to the outcome that I was looking for. But since it's kind of gone on and I'm in the middle of a process and I'm not seeing the end yet, and I'm getting kind of like impatient and I'm getting kind of overwhelmed, and I'm getting kind of, I think, just when I'm, instead of trusting that it's going to just work itself out, I am instead deciding that it's not what I want it to be exactly. And so I start looking for a different method. And it boils down to trust and also adherence and obedience. And the Lord really opened this up to me and allowed me to see myself and showed me that really the key isn't just showing up. And when I talked to my coach about that, he was like, that's the hard thing though. That's the kind of the tricky part, is showing up is the hard part. Because I was like, you literally tell me, what to eat, how much to eat, not really what to eat, but how much to eat of what, macros, and how many times I go to the gym and what to do while I'm there. And I just have decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. So I found something else to do. And I was off looking at all this and looking at this and looking at that. And, then it causes me to question the direction that I'm being led in. It causes me to start looking to the left and the right. It causes me to start, getting off course. It causes me to start looking at other things that really aren't for me because it's not really part of the plan. But I think somehow that it's going to be a faster outcome, a better outcome, but really it's not. And the Lord used this just to teach me about more of where I am in my life and where I'm not. Because this was a very old behavior. This is a very, very, very old behavior. And I really, truly believe that it came up as a way to hold me back from where I'm going and where all the ground that I have covered in the last year. Because the enemy knows when we are close to something, and he knows when we are breaking free. And he doesn't want us to do that. He wants to keep us bound. He wants to keep us stuck. He wants us to be how we always have been, because that's how he has a hold. That's how he has control. That's how he has some kind of something on us to be able to keep us from where we're supposed to be. And, it was a couple of weeks. Now, grand scheme, it's not that big of a deal, and it's definitely way less than it has been in the past, but still it's enough to have a consequence. And it's enough for me to feel really bad about it. And I apologize to my coach for, not putting in the effort when he was putting in the effort. And I had to apologize to myself too, because it's important to me, yet I'm choosing something different. And it's not that what I was choosing was not important, because what I felt was important to me was a better outcome. But what was really important to me was sticking to the plan that I'd been given and that I pay for every month, and that I rely on a coach to help me, walk out. But yet on the backside, I'm kind of doing my own thing, and it's really not okay. That's not how I am as a person anymore. That's not how I want to function in my life. And I had to really come to terms with that and repent for it and ask God to help me and realize, like, you know what? This is like a very old behavior. And I really believe that my old self was wrestling for its spot with my new self. And although my new self did kind of even consider and fall a little bit to that temptation, at some point I was like, you know what? No, this isn't who I am. This isn't work anymore. This isn't fit me anymore. This isn't who I'm becoming. This isn't who I am currently. This is somebody who I used to be. This is part of dysfunction from a long time ago, and I don't work that way anymore. And today I was on a walk, and the Lord's just been giving me really strict instruction lately. I've been asking him for an agenda for the day, and especially in this transition. And, he's been giving it to me. And when I follow it, when I do what he tells me to do, I am majorly productive and get so much stuff done. And so I'm just like loving it. And I'm like, every day, okay, Lord, like, what's today? Like, what's your schedule for today? Today's yours. I release it to you. I surrender to you. What's on your, agenda for me today? And funny enough, on Monday, he had me just rest. He literally was like, today is a day of rest and recovery, and you've been working really hard, and I'm really proud of you, but you have been battling in your mind. Like, your mind has been a battlefield, and it really has been, just for a lot of different things, because I believe that he is just doing so much right now in the spiritual realm. So things in the natural are being affected, and there's just so much change right now. There's so much shifting and things happening. And so, it's warfare for sure. But it's also just learning how to be new. And so there's a lot of battling in my mind with that, wrestling with my old and my new, and wrestling with my old and my new. And today on a walk, I had, worked earlier today, and I did an install for a client, and it was really great. It was, it's turning out so great. We finish up tomorrow. And as I was walking, he just started talking to me so much. And it was really, that's when I knew what this podcast episode was going to be about. And it's just the importance of showing up, doing what's necessary to just get it done. And, not every day is going to be 100%, but 40% is better than 0%. 10% is better than 0%. 2% is better than 0%. If we just show up and do what we know we're supposed to be doing every single day, whether it's in the gym, or whether it's with our relationship with God, or whether it's our relationship with ourselves, or whether it's relationship with other people, it doesn't really matter what it is. Our work, whatever we're called to, whatever we're focused on, it's our responsibility to show up. And even if the outcome doesn't come as quickly as you think it should, or look the way that you think it should, keep showing up anyway. And he really gave me this incredible, simple revelation today, but it was just like, you show up because it's important to you. Not for anything else, not for any other outcome, but because either it's you're being obedient to God and you're showing up because that's the most important thing, or you're showing up for yourself despite it being hard, despite it being grueling, despite it being boring, despite it being monotonous, despite there being lagging effects or results, despite there being maybe nothing that you see that's changing at all. And in fact, it could be looking even worse sometimes in certain cases, depending on what it is you're pursuing. But as long as you know that God is leading you to do something, the most important thing we can do is just show up. Give it your best. Give it your all. Every single day, improve and continue to push forward and push through. Because showing up is the key to finishing well. If you don't show up, you're not going to finish well. If you start out great and then somewhere along the way you go off path or you go rogue or you change things up, that's what I've done. Like, one reason why my body is struggling so much right now is because I keep changing things because I want a faster outcome or I want a different outcome. Or like I said before, somewhere along the way, I stopped trusting the process and I thought that I could figure it out better on my own. I could do something better on my own. And ultimately, it didn't work out. It was not a better outcome. And now I'm a little farther behind the curve than I would have been had I just showed up, hit my numbers, even despite being sick, getting injured again. I could have still controlled other things in my life, which I just didn't show up for myself that way either. And I decided to, instead of hit my protein like I was supposed to, according to my coach's recommendations, I started going onto a completely different type of eating plan where I was barely even getting any protein. And, my body definitely had some changes because of that. And they were not changes in my favor. They were not changes that I was happy about. They were not changes that I was excited about. They were actually changes that I was really disappointed in myself for choosing to do that. But had I not, I don't think I would have learned this lesson. And so I'm glad that I did what I did because now I know how important it is for me, for myself, in this season for this specific goal, of course, in general as well, but for this specific goal, how important it is for me to just do what I'm supposed to do and finish it out. Show up every day. Get my steps in, get my workouts in, hit my numbers, hit my protein, hit my macros, get sleep, get hydrated, do the things I know are going to get me the result that I'm looking for. And even though I'm pretty good about it most of the time, there's enough slack going on where obviously I'm making this podcast episode, because if there wasn't slack going on, then I wouldn't have learned a lesson about how important it is to show up and just keep showing up no matter what. Eventually, a result will come. You can't put in work and put in work and put in work and nothing happen. Reaping and sowing, it's a biblical principle. You reap what you sow, more than you sow, later than you sow it. So while you might be putting a little bit of money away every month, or paying down your debt a little bit every month, or eating, to your macros and hitting your numbers and working out every day, it's going to take time for the big changes to happen. It's going to take time for that debt to be paid off. It's going to take time to hit your savings goals. It's going to take time to hit your weight goals or your physique goals or your lifting goals or your endurance goals or whatever it is that you're trying to reach. Process takes time. Nothing of value is afraid of time. And we must walk out the process, show up, do our best, and just work hard for the outcome that we desire, but not get so down when it doesn't happen as fast as we want to. And don't get so frustrated when it takes way longer or it's way harder than we anticipated. And I'm talking so much to myself right now, just as an encouragement to me, and I hope to you, that what is important is worth it no matter what it is, no matter how hard it is. I had a thought earlier and I really want to share it with you because it's just another way that I can remind myself, like, you know what? I am a disciplined person and I choose to either be or not be. And it literally is a choice. It's not because I'm incapable. And I believe that's the case for most of us. It's not that we're incapable. It's literally that we just choose it or we believe something else over the truth of what it is inside of us that's able to come through when we actually show up and we actually do what we say and we actually just push through. Last year, I had a workout partner and we made a commitment to each other to hold each other accountable, to not let either one of us skip for no reason, just for no good reason, just because like, oh, I'm really tired, or oh, I don't really feel like going, or whatever. And you know what? Neither one of us missed a single workout. For almost 3 months, we didn't miss a single workout. And we started at a few days a week and worked up to 5 days a week. And then we actually even added more. We were trail running on the weekends and doing other stuff. So it was like, it built up in momentum and built up in intensity and it built up in quantity, and we didn't miss it. We didn't miss it until I got injured and I literally couldn't go to the gym for a couple of months. Not a single workout. So it's like, I know the discipline is in me. It's just a matter of the accountability for myself that I had. That was my accountability then. I had an accountability partner, which really helped a ton. But like, my coach is my accountability partner, but he's not like here in front of my face every day. And so it's kind of like, but God is our accountability partner, and we should be our own accountability partner. Like, we have to be our own accountability, because no one else is going to make us do it. No one else is going to make us show up. No one else is going to choose for us to get on it and to do what we're called to do. To show up, to work hard, to give it our best, and to finish well. So really, this is kind of like another short episode, but it's just an encouragement. Again, I wish I would have done this in reverse, but again, the lesson of this episode came later. So literally today, as I was walking, I got this just download of like, this is why it's so important just to do what I tell you. This is what the Lord was saying, to do what I tell you no matter what, because showing up is what's important. Showing up is key. Like, that's going to get the momentum going, just showing up. So if the Lord is telling you to do something, if he's leading you into something and you are dragging your feet, or you are just being disobedient or rebellious, like, I really encourage you to repent for that and to get back on track with him, because he is so gracious and merciful. He's not going to hold it against you. When you come back and just say, hey, you know what? I've been away for a while and I'm not really walking the way that I should be. And I want to, because I know how important it is to be in your will and to be, walking in purpose and doing the things that you're calling me to do. I'm telling you right now, it doesn't make your life necessarily easier, but it definitely makes it better, because knowing that you're in God's will is like the best place to be. And it's, yes, you will still have hard times and you will still be confused at times, and there will still be things where you're like, what is happening? But God will give clarity. He will give you vision. He will give you guidance and leadership. He will guide your steps. He will allow you to understand and give you peace and knowledge and insight and wisdom along the way. He's so good. But what we are responsible for is actually showing up when he calls us, doing the things that he's calling us to do. I know for a fact, like I mentioned last week, he called me into this season. So walking it out, showing up every day is my responsibility. I'm responsible for doing that. No one else is going to do it for me. And I can't blame it on anybody else if I don't do it, and then what I want to have happen, or what is possible to have happen, doesn't happen because my lack of participation. So again, I just encourage you, get on it, stay on it, show up. The talk that I had with my coach yesterday really just reinvigorated me. It remotivated me. It reinstilled that understanding and the belief that, like, you know what? No, I can do this. And I'm not doing this because there's some lie I'm agreeing with. There's some lie that I'm agreeing with that I can't trust. And that is not who I am. I don't distrust. I don't mistrust or distrust anymore. God has grown me out of that and changed my heart so much. He's allowed me to learn how to trust myself, how to trust him more importantly, and also, get the benefit of the doubt and trust other people. And not be where, I'm in this place within myself of, I need to figure it out and I have all the right answers and they don't know what they're doing and I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to do this. Stop, time out. No. Old. Goodbye, old self. I am now a new creation. and I have been a new creation. But again, just to recap, the closer that you get to newness and that you're growing into who you're becoming and like you're really starting to walk in what God has for you, the enemy's going to come at you. He's going to bring old stuff. It's going to come up in like the weirdest ways, but he's going to bring old stuff and it's going to challenge your new mindset. It's going to challenge where you are, who you are, what you believe, what you do. It could throw you off for a second. It could throw you off for a minute. It could throw you off for a little while. But you have everything inside of you to get right back on track with the Lord just by going to him and being like, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I repent. Please forgive me. Help me. He's more than willing. He's more than willing. He's more than willing. But he does want us to show up. He really does. It's for our benefit. It's for his glory. It's for our benefit. And it's also to help build, confidence in ourselves, peace, joy in ourselves. Because when we're walking, we know we're doing the right things for ourselves. We're taking good care of ourselves. We're taking good care of the people around us. We're taking good care of like all the things God's given us to steward. It really does create such a peace and a joy and a confidence. And like that is how he wants us to live. Because that is when we're going to be able to do the things he's calling us to do. When we're walking in those strengths that he's instilled in each one of us. But again, it's about showing up and walking it out and understanding that who we are is who he says we are. And we are more than conquerors in Christ. We are chosen by God. We are called. We are selected for a specific purpose and a reason. So we have to start really taking more accountability for our actions, our beliefs, our thoughts, our words, and start, measuring them against what we're supposed to be doing. And are we doing it well, or could we improve? And there's always room for improvement. So I just encourage you to maybe give yourself like a little reflective evaluation and see like maybe where are the parts of your life where you're really kind of dragging your feet, or are you not showing up for yourself? Where are you not showing up for yourself, where it's important to you? And like, think about why that might be. Is there some false belief that you're partnering with? Is there some old trigger that's trying to rear its head that you can squash and just be like, no, that's not who I am. Like, I'm not going to go back there. Like, good try, but like, you got me for a second, but like, no, I can tell it doesn't fit. It's like kind of putting on a pair of like jeans that are just way too big for you or way too tight for you. You're putting on a jacket that just like it doesn't fit anymore. And in a season it did, because you have it. So you purchased it. You bought it. You bought into whatever it is that you're holding on to, right? At some point. But now in this season, you go to put it back on again because you're like, pull it out of the back of the closet. And you go to put it back on again and it doesn't fit anymore. It doesn't mean you don't try to make it work, try to make it fit and get it all on there. But there's going to come a point where you're going to decide whether you're going to stuff yourself into something or have it so loose you just tie it all up, or you make the conscious decision to say, you know what, yeah. At some point I used to wear this a lot and I felt pretty comfortable in it. I felt like it was me. But in this season, yeah, not so much. I'm gonna get rid of this now. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with growing and changing. And then, the enemy sees that you're changing and you're different and you're not that same person that you used to be. And so he's gonna try to bring out all that old stuff. He's gonna be like, hey, remember when you used to wear this old jacket? Remember how much you loved this old jacket of shame? Remember how much you love this old jacket of where you didn't trust anybody? Remember how you used to just wear this big, huge, like comfy sweater of just like anxiety all the time? Stuff like that. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to come. And it doesn't mean that you won't have to face it. It doesn't mean that you might not even be affected by it for a period of time, a short period, long period. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that we get to choose. We get to decide. We get to decide what stays, what goes, what fits, what doesn't fit, what's for us, what's not for us. And that's all when we are in alignment with God. That it's very, 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 very clear. And it helps us make confident decisions for ourselves, because we can tell if God is saying to do something and something else is coming up and we're trying to like make it work and it's not working because it doesn't fit anymore. We can say with confidence, you know what? This isn't for me. This isn't God's will for me. I know it's not, because he's telling me it's not. He's showing me it's not. He's literally showing me that it's not. But we have to be willing to show up and to be able to walk those things out. Even when we feel like we're going backwards sometimes, we still have to walk it out, show up, and push through those times of just uncertainty and get to the other side. Because at the end of the process, there will be an outcome. And we get to choose whether that outcome is in alignment with God's will for our lives or whether it's not. And we get to choose which direction that we take. If it is God's ordained will, then yeah, it's going to happen, but we also have a choice in how we experience that. If it is something that is contingent upon our obedience because there's blessings that He wants to give us, there are things that He wants to give us, but they are contingent upon our participation and cooperation, and we decide that we don't want to, He's not going to be able to give us everything that He wants to because we actually get in our own way. So I'm vowing right now publicly, this is my vow, I vow publicly that for the next 6 weeks, I commit to showing up in my own life to walk out the things that are important to me, specifically speaking of my fitness journey, and that at the end of my 6 weeks, I commit to being able to look back to say every day I showed up. I hit my numbers, I hit my macros, I hit my steps, and I hit my workouts. These are all things I'm in total control over. Bearing no injury, I can still do 3 of the 4. So with an injury, I mean, bearing no injury, I should be able to do all of them. If I happen to be injured at some point for some crazy reason, 3 of those 4 things are still in my control and they will still get me to the end because I can still show up in every single way that I possibly can in those 3 ways. So I'm, again, vowing to every single person that listens to this, and I hope that you guys hold me accountable, because it is important to me. It is important to me for me to show up for myself. It is important for me to be the athlete that I know that I am. It is important to me to live the healthiest lifestyle that I possibly can live. It is important to me to be the best and healthiest version of myself that I can possibly be. It is important to me to live the life that I was created to live. It is important to me to be in God's will wholly and completely. So I pray that this just encourages you. I pray that it reminds you of the importance of the step of showing up. And I just pray that if you are anywhere off course, just like I have been a little bit, not to hold it against yourself, not to have shame, not to have regret, but to look at it as information and to take that information and do something about it. It's just data points. It's just data. Look at it neutrally. Yeah, you could say, I wish I did better, but look at it as a neutral data point to create information, to make an analysis, and then do something different with it. That's called growing. And we are always going to be on a mission to grow and become. We are never going to arrive until we meet Jesus face to face. But until we do that, we can show up and we can do our best every single day. Until next time, be blessed.